Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite paranormal investigator. My name's Tim Sedano, and this is Paranormal Insight. The Church of Mavis is broadcasting live on. I don't know why that's up there. I'll have to kill that banner. Nope. I'll have to hide that banner. Where's that banner at? Church of Mavis. Church of Mavis. I'll just get rid of it. There we go. We got rid of it. Okay. Sorry for the snafu. Welcome. I'm sorry to hold things up. We have one of the most amazing guests in the world. He's also my Uber boss, but that shouldn't influence anything whatsoever. So, first off, let me say hi to everyone in the chat. That's Hillbilly Herb and Jen from PNL. Welcome to the show. And without further ado, let's talk to the guru of UFOs and aliens himself, Joe Montaldo. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, baby?
How's it going, baby?
I'm alive and kicking. That's always a good thing.
That's always a good thing. Absolutely.
I could use a long vacation somewhere, I could tell you that. But
yeah. Where would you go?
Ooh, I don't know. It's a good question. That is I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. Where would I go hang out? Well, I'm getting ready to be in LA in about 10 days. So
yeah.
It's so while I'm out there, well, about 8 days actually, but while I'm out there, I'll get a little sort of vacation. It's a working vacation is what it really is.
Working vacation. Yeah.
You can't call anything. Yeah, you can't really call anything other than that because I get very little sleep when I'm out there. And usually what happens is I like to catch up with John, and John's the president of Galaxy Press. Mm-hmm. I like to have breakfast with him in the morning and talk about what everything's going on that day. And then, I'll hit some of the courses, some of the classes, and I'll watch these students. And I'll talk to judges and winners and stuff like that. And some of these judges, like Orson Scott Card, he's the author of Ender's Game. Tim Powers is The Stranger Tide, which of course is a Caribbean movies. The guy from Dunes there. There's some seriously big dudes, people here. And that's just on the author side. That's not even on the illustrator side. So I get to spend some time hobnobbing with all the rich and famous. And I met 2 different years there. I met the #1 general for Space Command and the #2 general for Space Command because John and his wife are space cadets. They're members of the Space Command.
I didn't know that. That's
I said, don't tell me space cadets, man. I'll never get past that. And then I met. It's like a working vacation because I do have a lot of fun, but it's nonstop. On average night, I'll get about 3 hours. By the time we try not to do interviews after midnight because the winners need their sleep because they're going to be up early in the morning. But
gotcha.
A lot of times interviews will drag on till 1:32 in the morning, and then I'm up, and then I usually post archives for Michelle so she don't have to worry about it, get numbers for. So usually at 4 o'clock I fall asleep, 7 o'clock I'm up. So away we go.
Yoo-hoo.
And I get to talk a little ufology out there because a lot of people find out that I'm in the field. It's weird because they really don't know who I am other than I'm press.
Gotcha.
So then people will look me up and they're like, I didn't know you did this. Well, yeah, I do that. Yeah. I do a lot of press work and I do a lot of other stuff. It's just, like I said, it's fun. And meeting people like Orson Scott Card is great because he's a character and a half, man. And I'm gonna probably be his next movie, man.
Is that right?
That'd be cool. It's like I said, look, I can tell you a lot of good stories, man. A lot of good. Life's been treating you good or what, man?
Yeah, man. I've been doing okay. I just had a birthday this Sunday. 54 now.
Birthday.
Thank you so much.
Baby, man.
Yeah, baby. Come on.
You're just a baby, man. Come on. My car is older than that, man. It's kind of funny because I remember when I made 50, everybody's like, you're gonna panic. I really liked my 50s. I'm 60 now. I'm 62, 61. And I really liked my 50s. I had a really good time. And so it was an age in my life where 1, I was older, so I had a much better understanding of the world. And 2, people treat you different when you get older. And when you get old, they treat you like crap. And when you get older, they don't.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I'm not that old yet, but Sooner or
I
later,
get you. I
I'll
get you.
there. Yeah, but it's part of life, and it's how things
I'm okay
go, I
with it.
guess. You know, I had a lot of fun, and a friend of mine asked me the other day. He said, "You don't wish you were young again?" I said, "Yeah, if I wasn't poor." Like what? I'm like, well, you know, I'm not really into that let's be poor thing anymore, man.
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
rather
with
be
you.
older with money than young and broke. And just, you know, it's
I
it's not like the old days, man. But still, again, it's a lot of fun. It really
right
is.
on.
Yeah, while I'm talking to you, I'm actually posting us on Rumble.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Hello,
That's why
Rumble people.
I was telling Michelle to leave some open. Let me see if I'll let me drop this one in right quick.
Sure.
Where is Rumble? Where's
It's
UFO
around
Rumble?
there
There it is,
somewhere.
right there. There it
Big
is.
hi to, let's see, Carrie, Sherry, Heidi. Big hello to
Uh-oh,
Heidi.
Carrie Sherry.
And
That
Carrie,
sounds like a
Sherry, and Heidi.
salad.
And Cars here too. Oh my gosh, we have everybody's here. This is fantastic.
It sounds like a salad. You know, I had a friend write me. I was reading the letter this morning about going on a show in New York because they want me to come up and talk about cattle mutilations.
Oh,
And I guess he was on some show the other day out in Roswell, New Mexico. And they got in a big argument over cattle mutilations. He said, "Well, you just need to go listen to Joe. He presents it better than I do." And well, because the guy kept telling him it was just aliens. It was just aliens. It was just aliens. And you know, I originally told him this when we at the 60th anniversary of Roswell. I had told him, I said, "Look, I said I've done enough research on cattle mutilations to know it's not aliens. It's probably us." But since then, which was, it was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, 14 years ago, since then, I've actually been able to verify through the government. So,
radiation checking through our meat supply.
yeah, that's
That
what they're
kind of
doing.
thing.
Well, I had told this to Linda Moulton House. I said, "Why don't you go look, Linda? You'll notice there's not much in the way of cattle mutilations east of the Mississippi River.
Right.
But there's a buttload west. And there's not really anywhere else in the world. Oh, they try to say down in South America, but the only two we really found in South America turned out to be, one was a Brazilian general who was hiding cows in a water tower so he could claim them on his insurance. And another one was selling them to the locals and saying they were being abducted so that he could collect his insurance."
I see.
But that was one of the first giveaways on when I first started researching them. You know, I was talking to different ranchers, and I said, "It's curious they bring the cow back." He said, "Well, if we didn't get a cow back, we couldn't collect our insurance." And it just slapped me in the head. I'm like, "Wait, what? You dare?" He said, "Well, yeah, the cows these are expensive bulls and cows. They're expensive,
Yeah.
$3,000, $6,000 a piece." He said they're insured, and I was like, "Really?" So I went back to everybody I had talked to and asked me, "Your cows insured?" And sure enough, they were. And I found it funny that none of these were small ranches where this happened. These were big ranches. And then I started noticing, I pulled up the radiation map and overlaid the ranches on top of them and found all of them were within inside the winds or water fields of the blast.
Yep.
Oh, after that, it was pretty much a given. So I went back and researched the body parts in the blood and the body parts that were being taken. And that's where the radiation would have accumulated the fastest. So I was like, well, son of a bitch. So I got some doctors to sign off on it. And I started digging. I started talking to friends of mine in the military and the government. And eventually I ran into a gentleman who introduced me to the project. And technically, it's not classified. It's just not talked about.
Gotcha.
And I found it interesting because when I talked to him, I said, "Well, how classified is this?" He said, "Joe, it doesn't say top secret on it." He said, "But yet no one seems to know about it." And it's like, well, this is a project we run, but we don't talk about it. It's like, okay. Which I understand why, because anybody who got cancer in those areas would now want to be suing the government.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're not telling us suggests that the radiation's higher than it should be.
Right.
Or they would tell us.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've always kind of thought that too.
Yeah.
To a degree.
It just makes sense that, you know, I couldn't figure out this. So I said, so these UFOs are coming and stealing the cows, taking them away, taking their parts out, and then dropping them back. Why would they bring them back? Why not just drop some bitch in a lake or garbage or whatever, drop him in space?
Space it. I mean,
it never made any sense to me. And then there was also things, though, on a couple of places that people had sent me pictures and there were sled marks, like from a helicopter sled.
Oh.
Landed. And somebody said, "But you never hear noise." I said, "We'll get some pretty silent helicopters these days." And then one guy said, "Well, there's no way we could suck all the blood out that fast." I said, "Yeah, you ever heard of a vacuum pump? We've had them since the 50s.
Oh yeah.
I said, you hook it up, plug it up, and go. I said, we've been using lasers since the 60s to cut things. I said, so none of the technology involved in this is supernatural or extraterrestrial. I mean, it's just standard technologies that we use every day. And even back in the 60s, it was technology we used every day. So I never did understand that. And I never understood why ufology never took the time to actually research it. But
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's worth researching if you're going to prove or disprove UFO involvement, especially to that depth. I mean, just to make a wild claim about it is a little irresponsible. So
there was a lot of that going on. And Linda Moulton Howe was the one was running all over with it and yelling about it and hollering about it. And I was like, I've never seen her do anything that I would consider credible in the field, but she's well liked for some reason. Well,
she's had some.
As long as you don't check her research, she's well liked. When you start checking her research, you're kind of like, okay.
Or torching Linda.
What was she? Not Miss America, Miss Idaho, or Miss somewhere or another. Well, my ex director, my ex national director who passed away, she used to give her nothing but hell. I mean, she'd get. Oh yeah, I mean because we used to attend a lot of conferences, and we always maintained a big presence. I mean, she got into it with her multiple times.
Like on stage.
On stage, at the bar, at the casino. I mean,
oh my God, that's funny.
Yeah. I was sitting talking with Stanton Friedman and having a cocktail, and they started getting into it, and I was like, Stan says they just do not like each other. I'm like, no, and Stan liked D because D was probably the most versed on Roswell even than he was. They got talking one night, and she started telling him about the nurse and some information. He was well impressed. He was like, damn, Josh, I told you, I only bring in good directors, man. So I'm lazy. I don't want to have to work hard. Bring them directors and put their asses to work. Which we're doing that right now. We're in the middle of recruiting right now. But
oh yeah?
Yeah, we're not going to officially reset the organization until we have I think they wanted 40 directors. And then after that, we'll probably reset up the sites. I mean, it's all still up there. It's just everybody wants to do resets, and about every 15 years or so, we retire a bunch of people. Mainly because of burnout. No other reasons than that. But, gotcha. When you deal with as many people as we do, and you hear as much of this as we do, sometimes it starts to wear on you after a while.
I get you. I get you.
And it also is very, very, very time consuming. It can take up a lot of your time.
Oh, years if you do the research. Yeah.
Just dealing with one contactee can consume a massive amounts of time. So at the organization's height, we had 70-something thousand members with about 30,000 doing research. So we racked up caseloads really quick. Well, I mean, I left MUFON with 5,000 abduction cases, and they weren't even MUFONs. MUFONs weren't tracking abductions. We were. Walt Andrews had given me permission to put a team together for that, because MUFON didn't believe in alien abduction. Matter of fact, MUFON didn't even start talking about alien abductions until I got Wake Up USA and started torturing their asses every day for 3 years. And I brought in every director they had, including their current ones, and said, "What the bleep?" And I said, "You never get into the truth chasing lights in the sky. There's only three ways to get to the truth." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, either ET is going to come tell you, we're going to capture a real craft and put it there, or the government's just going to fess up. But there ain't no other way to get to the truth than this." So, but UFOs just aren't going to do it, because even a UFO, if we capture them, they would just say it was ours. Advanced technology. Because I was looking at the X-47 flying yesterday. That's our new 6th generation fighter.
Oh, that's a beautiful bird, man. I love that thing.
And when it's in certain movement maneuvers, it looks like an unidentified flying object. The other day, it was doing this one particular move, and it just looked like a black triangle because of the way it was. And people only realize the plane is very stealthy, but can actually physically go invisible. It's the first one we've had like that.
Oh, very cool. I heard that was the rumor, but
we've seen. They did a Jay and I don't even know where we got it from. We carried it on news on the flip side. It was Boeing was showing prototype testing of it, because it's been flying for 6 years.
Yeah,
which nobody actually knew, because I was listening to China the other day talking about, we're the first one ever, sixth generation, and they just started flying it like a week ago. I'm thinking, dude, you better wake up.
No.
I said, I was about to come start blowing you up, man. But on certain angles, it looks just like a TR-3B or something. It's gray shadowed out bottom, and when it arcs or turns, and it's very interesting. Matter of fact, the guy the other day was swearing the F-22 had to have alien technology because it was dodging missiles. It would just come up like that, and then it just turned itself in and inverted and came back under the missile. I was like,
yeah, I saw that move.
That was
someone had it up
man.
somewhere.
Yeah, and then they showed a couple other ones like that. I said, that's seriously impressive jet.
That's beautiful piloting too.
Yeah, it's vector technology. Maybe we did get that from the aliens. I don't
Could
know.
be. I wouldn't surprise me.
I know the only things I would be say for sure that we got was probably aircraft aluminum, fiber optics, and the microchip. Because that's all.
That makes sense.
Well, that's all pictures. The Roswell, I think it was a Gazette or something, put out a news article like a week after Roswell, and there's a picture in the article of three things. One looked like a really light type of aluminum rod, like an aircraft aluminum rod. The other one definitely was fiber optics. There wasn't even no doubt what it was when you seen it, the little stringy pack.
Gotcha.
And then the other one was a chip about yay big around, and with its port chip being about this big. Still at that point, that chip's still more advanced than what we have today.
Oh yeah, I imagine it's probably really super complex.
What's scary about it is without it, there would have been no computer revolution.
Yep, I hear that too. I hear the exact same thing.
What does that mean for us? Where will we be technologically? We'll definitely be a different world.
Yeah. Well, so we'd probably still be on tubes.
but is that a form of interference?
I mean, it depends on your take. I mean, this is a good question to ask you. Are we actually receiving gifts from our stellar friends, and are we in a relationship with them as far as minor technology sharing? They get to come here, go on vacation, or interact with us to one degree or another. I mean, what's the story there? Because I know you've done some research into this.
Well, I mean, the aliens are interesting because, one, we know they can retrieve anything they want anytime they want. Doesn't matter if it's on a military base. They take people out of jail.
Yeah.
They've taken them off of military bases. That doesn't seem to phase them. So I always wondered, somebody had given the Germans a spaceship, and at the beginning of the 19th century, probably around 1899, 1901, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Through the 1900s, like 1910, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, the Germans were trying to build saucers. Now, one of these saucers happened to be a boat, one was a tank, one was a plane, but they were already starting to look at jet engines at World War I. I mean, and we didn't even develop our first until the end of World War II. The Germans were already flying. They just didn't have and the sad part for the Germans were they had enough planes. They didn't have enough pilots. It takes a special
jet. I also heard they didn't have enough material, like they needed more aluminum.
According to the trial in Nuremberg, they had over 75 jets sitting ready to go. They had 5 pilots.
Wow.
Well, the problem was somebody made a big boo-boo. They thought, okay, we make the jet, we put the pilot, he can fly it. No. First off, jets pull way bigger G's than prop planes do.
Yeah.
Their maneuverability is much different. The way you handle them, they run, start the whole 9 yards. An average pilot's going to go to school. It'll be 2 years before he ever gets in that freaking jet to really fly. Right. And then he's going to get a good year of of training just for combat. So these guys didn't get any of that. They were talking about it in the notes. They actually said a couple tried to fly and crash the damn things. They just it was unfortunate. It was fortunate for us. It was just unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
But if they would have developed it first, or if they'd have developed a nuke first, we'd all be seeing Zinkaya right now.
The man in the high castle would have been a reality. Yeah.
Yes. It's always fun. I mean, all this is great. And then Hitler had said something about a type of extraterrestrial In his book, Mon Kampf, he talks about these blue-eyed, fair-haired angels that used to come visiting, which sound just like the human-type aliens.
Yeah, the Nordics.
He said they had 6 fingers and 6 toes, and their heads were shaped differently than ours, and that's a typical human extraterrestrial.
Wow.
And so, he gives him credit for a lot of his genetic experiments on twins, telepathic experiments. So were these not so nice aliens guiding him on where to go? Now, people forget that Germany, not America, was the most advanced country at the turn of the century.
Yeah.
And if you're an extraterrestrial coming to give somebody technology, it may have been them instead of us. I mean, we were still a young nation that was causing all kind of problems. So here you got a very advanced nation that was advanced in many, 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 many ways, pretty much more advanced than anybody else on the planet and everything. So if you were an alien sent here to give gifts, and because Hitler wasn't Hitler then, somebody else was ruling, and Hitler ended up getting hold of the technology, but in the end, it ended up being ours. And then again, I'm pretty sure we're the ones that crashed the saucer.
Yeah, Roswell. Right.
Yeah, everybody always, lightning brought it. And it always makes me crazy when people say that. And I'm thinking, do you know how much energy is in the cosmos when you fly past like Jupiter or Saturn or places like that? How much radiation and electrical energy that these ships are exposed to?
Right.
Just jumping portals is probably more energy than any lightning bolt will produce. And I would imagine if you can go through space at light speeds where you have little microfibers that could rip through your ship like tissue paper,
right,
you've got some kind of shielding that protects you from that.
If you have, and I have something to share that kind of relates to that.
Okay.
This was captured by NASA's Solar Observer, where this ship sits there for about 3 days. I mean, if you have a ship that could pull that off, hover right next to the sun and suck up its energy, I imagine a lightning bolt would be pretty ineffective.
Well, they've got a picture. It looks like 3 board cubes up against the sun.
I saw that. That. That was amazing.
NASA said that was a fake. And then stupid NASA, not NASA, JPL Milan released a second set of photos from a different orbiter. And guess what? It had the same picture.
Yeah.
It was no longer a mistake. Now, what it was, and then I noticed they slowly but surely came down. They took them down slowly but surely. See, JPL and Milan used to let you go through the pictures when they came in.
That's true.
So you could help. But then anomalies started being found. PPS anomalies. We're not going to say just anomalies. And JPL Milan decided no. We don't know what we're looking at, and we don't want to be speculating on what we're looking at. So guess what? We're going to look at them first. And even with them looking at them first, we still find anomalies. We still find stuff.
We're still finding stuff on the moon. I mean, as far as the moon photos go from back in the 60s and 70s, it's incredible. I mean, they didn't get everything,
Well, so we've got 3 American astronauts and 1 Russian astronaut, and 1 Chinese scientist says there's definitely somebody living on the moon.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's nowhere that we can see. It must be on the other side of the moon. And people always get mad at me because I won't call it the dark side of the moon, because it's not dark, it's lit. We just call it the dark side of the moon, but it's got light.
It gets light, yeah.
Yeah, it gets a light, yeah. And then where we're getting ready to put the Artemis mission, the light is almost 24/7, except in the craters, which are holding, guess what? Ice water.
Yeah, I read that the other day. Yeah.
And now they just found flowing water on Mars. They did. They're almost positive. And I said this 30 years ago, because there's ice caps at each end of the planet. And I said, I guarantee you, not only is there ice caps, but there's ice locked underneath that dirt in places. I said, we know sometimes it gets above freezing on Mars. Ice melts, it becomes water.
Yeah. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah. Well, if you watch, I think it's the Northern Cap, when it changes seasons, the ice cap goes away and this black stuff, like it looks like maybe a fungus or a mole or something. Maybe some amoebas or something, just takes over the whole area. And then it starts snowing. People don't realize it rains on Mars. It snows on Mars. Not like here, but it does.
Yeah, and, especially near the poles,
Yeah, something has to replenish that ice.
That's right.
And then, Pluto, they seen a UFO near Pluto the other day. Somebody said they thought they were getting ice or something. I'm like, how can you see that? I mean, you might have seen some anomaly, but I mean, our telescopes are not that sophisticated.
Don't we have a satellite over there?
We did, but I don't think it's there anymore. I think it went somewhere else.
I thought we had a specific
it might still be
orbiter, but
because we've been leaving orbiters all over the place.
Yeah.
At one time, there was 6 of them around the moon.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
We had 2. China had 2. India had 1. Russia had 1. I think France had 1. It was ridiculous. it was becoming crowded up around the moon.
Jen has a question.
What you got?
Jen's question is, what will Artemis 2 find on the so-called dark side of the moon?
Nothing that they're going to tell us about.
That's fun. That's fun.
And we don't even know if the insertion orbits are in places where this could be seen. Remember, they said all these people who said they seen this said that was like a colony inside of a crater. It was like a bunch of saucers, like one in the center and a bunch around connected to each other. Domes is what they actually called them.
Yeah.
And,
didn't Armstrong mention that?
Armstrong mentioned that. Armstrong said that they were told not to come back to that area. He said people always got the wrong impression that he said not to come back to the moon. He said, that's not what they told us. They said not to come back here. Where Apollo 11 had landed. And you notice we never went back there.
That's true.
And then eventually we just, 17 was our last mission. So 18, 19, and 20 were bought and paid for. So they were crewed, bought, and paid for, and we didn't launch them. Wouldn't have cost us anything. Somebody said, we got rid of them because of the cost, which was no cost. They were paid for.
Yeah. Where'd that money go?
I remember that the head of NASA said that the space program ended because America was no longer enthusiastic about it. He said that's why it went away. He said without them being enthusiastic, Congress didn't care, and that's just the way it went.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
Partially true.
Okay.
I don't think they found what they thought they were going to find, or it wasn't going to be as useful as they thought they were. I know one of the astronauts, I think it was on Apollo 14, said that they were hoping that they would find the so-called hidden Nazi base up there.
Oh, okay. No
one's found one yet, but and then nobody, it's like the ringing in the moon thing. What the hell is that?
I was going to ask you about that.
I mean, I watched a special just the other night. The guy said, we shot the lander down at the moon and some bitch rang.
Yeah, it rang. Yeah, like it's got a layer, like it's hollow or something.
Yeah, he said it must be like he said it's got some type of metal and then it's clear. It must be empty inside. He said, because it rang and 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 it rang. Yeah. And if you ever notice the craters on the moon, they're not real deep. They're real wide, but they're not real deep.
They're also very uniform.
Yeah, it's suggesting that they're hitting something that's destroying the rock before it can penetrate any real depth.
Right.
Which I have no idea. A lot of people seem to think the moon's artificial. So. Yeah, well, I listened to the moon broke away from Earth, because some of its mountains line up with some of the mountains in some of the craters in the Pacific Ocean. Maybe true.
Could be.
What about? I figured something smashed into us, and eventually it broke off. It was like probably like you get an egg in the side of your tire. It's probably like that, and eventually it just popped off and became this little moon.
Gotcha.
But one day there won't be a moon, people. Not for a long time, but one day there won't be. It's moving away 3 to 4 inches every year.
Yeah, the orbit's getting more and more distant.
Eventually, it'll be too far out. And once it gets to a certain point, it doesn't matter if we can still see it, because once it stops affecting our tides, oh shit, we're in trouble.
But it'll be slow. I don't think it'll be in as much trouble as you think. But
it'll be slow. It'll be. Well, it's probably already been 500 million years or so.
Yeah.
But what gets me is there's past writings where they talk about there is no moon.
Yes. The older writings, no moon in the sky.
It's confusing because, that's not that long ago. And you're thinking, no, there had to be a moon back then. There's no way because it's too, settled for it had to take a good, I would imagine for a long time there was a big debris field around it and stuff. I'm actually surprised there's not now. That's another thing. It's so clean around here.
Yeah, it is very clean. Unusually clean. Now, what about just because it popped into my head about if you look at the moon on a full moon, you can see a reflective kind of map of Earth. So.
I don't know. It's weird. The moon itself is a weird, strange, beastie thingy, babe.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think about a lot of times because I'm just kind of like, it just nothing adds up with it.
It's true.
Two
It's
and two's not
unusual.
making. Yeah, it's two and two's not making four. And when science has been studying it for this long and still can't give you an idea of how it came to be, you got to stop and go. Okay, I thought we were advanced, but we still don't know how the moon got here. I mean, give me a break. How can you not know where the moon came from?
I know.
And look, as far as we know, the aliens parked it there, and they've been using it ever since. So
Well,
maybe
that's
it's
been the popular theory, yeah. That it's basically an away base of some, or forward operating base of some sort or another, or either for observation of us or other work out in the world, out in the universe, but maybe both. Who knows? I mean, it's big enough.
it's definitely big enough. It's definitely a strange little beast. But eventually, I don't know if they'll figure it in our lifetimes, but eventually somebody will figure it out. Maybe once we get up there enough, once we got a colony up there, I think it'll go a lot faster because they're expecting to find stuff. But we're not really staying long. We're only going for days. Like right now, we're not even going. We're just flying and circling.
Yeah, we're
around
doing a
and
loop, an orbit. Yeah.
and then we're going to come home and do our thing, and then go back. Now the second mission is going to be a landing mission, and that's going to be the official start of the new colony.
Yeah.
And according to NASA, the colony by 2032 should be well established.
Yeah. Even to the point where there would be some sort of, what's that called? Tourism. Like tourism.
Well,
tourism.
there's a couple of groups working on tours. Virgin Airlines is working on space tourism right now. So is what's his name, Jeff Bezos. He's working on with his giant dildo spacecraft. It's have you ever seen it? It's what it looks like, man. Anybody writes to me, you go look at the thing. That's what it looks like. It looks so much like that even TV shows have made fun of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Go watch the girls go into space the other day, a couple months back. This shit was hilariously funny. Those so-called astronauts.
Right, they were just celebrities, right? They didn't have any formal training.
Yeah, and a bunch of astronauts got pissed about it. They got
pissed. I bet.
It's because NASA doesn't consider you an astronaut if you haven't been trained for certain things. They just consider you a specialist.
Right.
They really only consider astronauts as trained pilots and stuff like that. And I'm like, which is technically it's not true, people. If you go to space, if you go to real space, you're an astronaut. If you go stick your toe in it, you are not. So, they didn't really go into space. They just went to the top of the atmosphere and then came back down.
That's what William Shatner and his group did.
Yeah. Well, what you can tell is there was nobody floating around in the capsule. So
yeah, like they had a moment of no gravity, and then they came right back down.
Yeah. So if you ever watch NASA astronauts train, they put them in a Boeing 747 and they fly them up, and then they drop the plane down. And when it does, it takes the gravity away, and you'll see them flying around, throwing themselves around. It only lasts for a few seconds, but it's how they train. And,
So they call it the vomit comet. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It is, and that's about what them ladies did. They didn't actually go into space. It's Well, you can tell that capsule don't even look like it's really made for that kind of environment. It just looks like
it's completely automated. They didn't have to do a thing.
Yeah. Well, pretty much that's how it's always going to be. Now, Artemis is not completely. I mean, I watched today when they did their burn to take the capsule out and hook it up. But people, we're going to be living on the moon. Get used to it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And Elon's going to help them establish a base, and then they're going to start sending. Elon's goal is by 2040 to have 50 ships going and coming from Mars every day.
Wow.
So
he must have an engine prototype at the ready.
So he said originally everybody said, it's going to be this and this to get to Mars, but Elon said, no, and then everybody said it was going to be a one-way trip in the beginning. Which look, one-way trip would have been cool, but Elon said, no, stupids, we're going to build rockets going and coming. So if you want to stay, you can stay, but if not, you can hop on the one coming back, the empty cargo ship, and come home. And and he said because for at least 2 decades that Mars will need steady, not just people, but food and fuel. And they'll start probably making fuel there, but they're going to need the stuff for fertilizer.
Yep.
And it's also why one of them, they want to establish this thing inside Olympus Mons where they could put like 5,000 cows, plant a bunch of grass, put artificial sunlight there and put the cows in there. That way they'd be making fertilizer and beef at the same time.
That's a good plan, actually.
And then he said you could go up a couple of levels and close everything off and make that your colony, and you'd be protected by that big frickin'. He said, "You notice there ain't no boulders went through that thing yet. So big protection. Or you could go underneath it because you know there's going to be a lot of hollowed out chambers underneath it. He said in those kind of places you could seal off quickly without having to build in a lot and have an airtight environment. He said right now the current plan is to stay inside the ship, and then we lay it on its side and we connect them all together and we make a colony. Okay, that's fine, but the surface of Mars, just like the surface of the moon, is not well protected.
Yeah.
And I don't think y'all understand what a rock this big can do to something.
Especially if it's traveling at velocity. Oh, yeah. It's incredibly, it's a bullet, basically.
I mean, them things can come in the atmosphere at 100,000 miles an hour. You don't want that hitting anything. See, Earth, they burn up before they do any damage. But on the moon, they're not. They're just going to. Well, we know that the space shuttle has been hit by micrometeorites. It's got this self-sealing skin on it. It does give them an alert when it happens, but so it's happened more than once.
Didn't they lose like a third of their tiles on one reentry because of that?
They lost something on one, and then they had to the other day, or no, a couple months back, they had to move the whole space station to dodge debris.
Right.
From a satellite, yeah. And it's not even the first time they've had to do that.
Yeah.
So we need rules about let's clean up space. The aliens should come by with one of their big sucker ships and vacuum the whole area.
Vacuum that old shit up.
You know, open its mouth.
Oh, I said the S word. I'm so sorry. Don't find me.
We're not rated. We're not G-rated. It's well, no, we are on FM, right? You know, or yeah, we are, but they won't get us for that. Those kind of words they don't care about.
Okay.
Now, like my Friday night show, if that was on FM, I'd be in trouble. Or Saturday night, that was another bad one. Man, nobody can keep their mouth shut on that show.
I've been on that show a couple of times.
Yes, well, I tell all the hosts anytime they want to stop by. I just told Michelle the other night I wanted to come by and tell us about all the weird places she slept through her paranormal career. Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah, if it's nasty, horror, and scary, you crazy girl wants to go sleep there.
Oh, okay.
That's one of her favorite things. So I was picking on it night before last. Actually, we were after the show. We were talking, and I was telling them, well, come on, we'll do it. But she's having a lot of fun too. I just can't get anybody. You know, it's like Congress. Talking to Congress is a waste of time because they don't know what they're doing.
Less and less, huh? I feel this.
Well, it's not that. So it's like, okay, you're giving testimony. You're looking at the lady who's asking the questions.
Yeah.
And when you'd answer a question, even on the polygraph, you'd answer a question, and they would all look at you like, that's impossible. You just watch the polygraph guy say it's not impossible. He's telling the truth.
Yep.
So you seen a voice stress guy over there say the same thing. Body language guy said the same thing. Because I could not believe they never thought about this. So when I went to testify, I said, well, why don't we have a polygrapher here? And that way I don't have to stop and explain myself every time you look at me like, you know. So they did, and they brought in the guy from Conoco. He's number 2. And he said he was amazed by me. He said, the guy who was doing body language, he said, you were so relaxed. He said, how can you sit in front of these, because I mean, there's all kinds of people. There's senators, congressmen, House reps, military colonels, admirals, generals. And you'd say something and they'd just all look at you like, and then I told her ass up about that Koresh guy. I'm like, I said, it kills me. Y'all bring in this guy that Greer tells you. I said, I trust Greer this much. And I said, you bring this guy in, and first thing he tells you, well, all my information is second and third hand information. Oh, and I'm also a spy. Wait a minute. You want me to trust a spy? Is that what you just told me? That has second and third hand information. I'm thinking. And then he goes, and they're dimensional, and they come through and they crash like every third ship. I'm thinking, really? And what kind of drunken aliens are these? I mean, you would think if you've been, because, you know, they've been coming a long time. We're talking hundreds of thousands of years. You'd think if you were losing that many ships, you would just quit coming.
You'd think so. I mean, or get better pilots. I mean,
and in all that time, they haven't figured out the problem. I mean, give me a break. If you're going to lie, give me something I can believe.
Right.
I'm not against interdimensional aliens. I'm sure they do exist, but what seems to be visiting us seems to be from our dimension, from our own time and space. I mean, as far as what they tell everybody, they're from our own time and space. And the greatest is supposed to be in a solar system on the other side of the known galaxy, 150 light years from here.
Oh, they're literally on the opposite side of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Well, but this gave me a hint. So they always talked about the light beams weren't from our galaxy. They were from a different galaxy. So first couple times, I mean, shit, man, crossing galactic space has got to be a bitch, no matter how advanced you are.
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, well, they didn't have to, because the Milky Way is eating 5 galaxies
Right. I was just going to say something.
right now. The Sagittarius is the biggest one it's eating right now.
Well,
Which,
that's
by the
us,
way,
right? Aren't we on the edge of the Sagittarian galaxy?
Sagittarius arm of the galaxy. So a couple of years ago, scientists came out and said it is possible that Earth is actually from Sagittarius, not from the Milky Way.
Right.
And then science tried to came and said, no, we're from here. And he said, then why all these red dwarf stars around us are from the Sagittarius galaxy, but yet we're from here? He said, so somehow they all fell out of there and went all the way around us and none of them ever hit us. He said, no, it'd be more like we were moving with the group.
Gotcha.
And science went all apeshit. So now it's a 50-50 split. Depends on who you read, on who's going to agree or disagree. But
right. I tend to lean with the absorption theory. Yeah.
You know, it just seems, and it's the other oddball thing. And this is another oddball thing. We're not on the spiral arm. We're past the spiral arm.
Yeah.
So we're out in dead space where there is nothing. So when you look at our galaxy, you'll notice all the spiral arms are just full of stars, stars.
Yeah.
You don't really see them in between the lines. You really see them on the lines. That might be one to start in, but we're out in the part of space where I don't even know how anybody knew we were here, unless they already knew about us before we got here. Because I mean, so somewhere along the line we were pushed through the Sagittarius arm into the space next to it, which is where we sit today.
Yeah,
and no scientist has any explanation for it or how we got here, because everything else seems to be confined to the gravity of the spiral arms themselves. And it's not that there's not rogue stars and rogue planets. There are, but we don't even seem to be rogue. We're an intact solar system, functionally intact solar system. So
we're gigantic too. I didn't realize how big our solar system is. All the way out to the main Oort cloud is like, that's literally a light year out, and there's more beyond that. It's crazy.
If you're incoming to Earth, you'll start feeling the effects of Earth at 2 light years. What's funny about that Proxima, it depends on which Proxima we're talking about. We'll just use Proxima A, which is 4.4 light years, 4.2 light years. We actually rub up against each other. The 2 solar systems are touching.
Right.
We actually affect each other. They didn't know that until recent times. It may even be some overlap, which they didn't even think was possible. Crazy. So we're learning stuff now that we just don't. And then Webb just keeps finding thing after thing after thing. So there are now 5 planets where they think there's life. 2 of which they think are so one, they found industrial hydrocarbons in the atmosphere.
Yeah, I read that. That's crazy.
Okay, people, hydrocarbons don't come naturally. They have to be produced. Yeah, usually through some chemical reaction like gasoline or something. There was that. And then they found this type of carbon that creates life in this one atmosphere all over the planet. So there's no doubt. They said there's no doubt there's going to be some kind of life there. Then they found another planet that suggests that there was something living there that was probably a magnitude maybe a little more advanced than where we are today. Because even though there was hydrocarbons present, there seemed to be some type of radiated energy that we're not familiar with. So they may have been coming out of their industrial age and into their whatever next generation age they're in.
I see.
But you got to remember now, people, a lot of these planets are 100 light years away. So remember, everything we're seeing is 100 years old.
Yep.
Okay. So when we're talking about the one planet with hydrocarbons, that was 100 years ago. That picture was getting an image of. So, well, because it's not real time. We're picking up the light.
Right.
When you look up at starlight, there's no telling how old it is. I mean, there's stars that takes billions of years for the light to reach our planet.
Absolutely.
So knowing these things helps us to age things, just like the Dyson sphere thing.
Yes, that was a great case. I read about that too.
They're saying there's 60 something of them.
Yeah.
So they have found these things. They're not, some of them, they're not all complete, but so at first the one star we're talking about right now, they said, they thought there was something around that every now and then, maybe a big asteroid field or something else that was blocking the sunlight from time to time. And then they started noticing that the sun was always blocked in this location, and then it was blocked in this location like something was being built. And they noticed that it was changing over the years, like it was being added on to. So at one point, they realized it was probably some type of Dyson sphere. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Dyson sphere is an interesting thing. Some Dyson spheres are supposed to have a sun inside of them, and then you build all the land on the outer shell.
Yeah.
Some Dyson spheres are actually supposed to contain solar systems.
Oh wow, that's gigantic.
So I don't even. Yeah, it's like a you know the little globe you get that Santa Claus in, you shake the snow. I guess
Sure, sure.
That's your daily Dyson sphere. It's technology that we won't possess for millions of years, but well, maybe not millions, but at least a million.
Right.
I mean
on
you
that scale, yeah.
Well, you got to be first. You got to have the ships to move stuff around that big and be able to handle that radiation and stuff like that.
Sure.
It's strange, but I mean, at least we're starting to realize that we're not alone, and we need to start paying attention to it. But that's like Trump said he's going to release the UFO files. Well, he doesn't even have the clearance to make that.
I can happen.
So
who did he hand it off to? Higseth?
Yeah, I think so. No, he told what he did was went to a bunch of different groups. He went to the Pentagon for them to look through their files, and went through the library for them to look through their files. Anywhere these files could be contained, they asked him to look and find. Now, as much as I like Trump, they told Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, you do not have the clearance to know what goes on in Area 51.
Okay.
Think about this, people.
Yeah.
This is the president of the free world, and the military told him, you do not have the clearance to know what's going on here. And when Clinton pushed it, he said, you're only here for 8 years, my friend, and that's it. He said, and the guy, told him that, said, I've been here for 40. And the guy who's going to replace me is going to be here for 40. He said, we're the keeper of the secrets, not you. And they said the one guy cited that he didn't trust Barack or Bill not to give the secret up. They thought that to try to make a legacy out of it, they would give the secrets up. Now, will Trump give the secrets up? Well, he sounded like he will, but he did release the Kennedy documents. He released the Epstein file. He released all kind of stuff. So maybe he will. Now, while mentioning that, how much pertinent information is going to come out of all the stuff he released, that's anybody's best guess.
Well, that's my fear, that it'll be another redaction farm, you know.
Well, he told him, just like he told him with the other files, no redactions. But again, that's not going to be his call.
Yep, that's true. Let's briefly touch on the Artemis 2, since it's in the news right now and it's happening right now. Talk to me about the, how do I put this? The myth and or the reality of the Van Allen belt issue.
I never did understand the thing about the Van Allen belt.
Okay.
So it's not really that big, and they're hauling ass when they go through it. It's not like they're just putting along. I mean, come on, people, they're getting to the moon in 4 days, which is what, 300,000 miles away or something? 200. I'd have to ask
250,000, give or take. Yeah.
It's a long ways. So it tells you how fast it's going. So the Van Allen belt is not quite what everybody thinks about it. Now, people, we have satellites in space all the time. Yep. We also have the shuttle. I mean, not the shuttle, the space station, which constantly has people on it. Now, what gets me about it is I was a little leery the first time I read about the Van Allen belt and looked at the Apollo spacecraft. I was like, Jesus, this thing offers very little protection. But now you know why they were required to wear their suits the entire time they were in the ship. See, Artemis is not going to be required to do that because Artemis is a shielded spacecraft. It's not some aluminum shit all over the place.
Oh, yeah, man. There were places on the old Apollo capsule that were nothing but foil. So, nothing but foil.
I mean, no, James. I mean, the Apollo had a thick steel capsule, but it wasn't really what you think. Okay. When I was like 12, my dad took me to Florida. Well, we went to Houston, then we went to Florida. Both times I snuck into one of the capsules, got my ass in trouble a second time, climbed over the little thing and hopped inside of it. And dude, I was little. I mean, I was like 12 at the time. I wasn't all that big of a guy, and I felt cramping. I could only figure at this size, I'd be like, Jesus, let me out of this thing. I'd be claustrophobic.
Yeah.
People, you got to think about it. There was just one of me in there, and there was 3 of them in there, stuffed in there. You know, well, at least the Artemis has a bathroom, okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Even though it broke when it first started flying, but they fixed it. They had a bathroom.
Good.
See, and you always laugh when I tell you we're going to need plumbers and mechanics and gardeners in space because we are. We're going to need everything we need. When we get to colonize, we're going to need everything we need here. We're going to need there. So everybody will have a job.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're old and ancient like dirt, going to Mars will be a good thing for you. Going to the moon will be a good thing for you.
Yeah.
First thing is, let's say you have severe arthritis. Well, when you get to the moon has 1/6 G gravity, which means instead of your bones being like this, they're going to be a gap again. When you walk, they won't be rubbing. Same thing on Mars.
Yeah.
Also, that gravity that pulls down on all your vital organs will have stopped. Your blood pressure will have ease.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits for old people living in space. Yeah. Not for young people, though. Young people it will actually do harm to. If you're under the age of 50 and you go to space, even at 50, you're going to have to be on a treadmill on a regular basis. But if you're under 50 and you want to stay in shape, you will be on that treadmill 3, 4, 5 hours a day. And you'll still lose muscle mass, even doing that. Yeah. Now, once they figure out how to weigh us down and give us 1G and everything, that'll change. And that's one of the things that's making science so nervous right now is men and women sometimes use poor judgment, meaning that they have sex and somebody gets pregnant. Well, we've seen what chickens look like born in space, and they don't look like chickens. They came without legs or feathers because they don't need them. There's no use for them in space. There's quite a few things that deformed in space. And on Mars, I imagine being exposed to the radiation in there. Just go watch, what's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? There you go. Look at all the
mutations. The mutations. Yeah.
So, well, we don't know. And if we get there, it's going to be, there's just so much we got to learn. Radiation is deadly to man. So taking 9 months to get to Mars, you're exposed to a lot of shit. That makes the Van Allen belt look like child's play.
Yeah.
It's so... The ships have to be shielded. We have to be shielded. But we know, and just so you know, ladies and gentlemen, we're not ignorant. We shield nuclear reactors all the time. We have submarines and aircraft carriers with nuclear reactors in them. And you know what? No one dies of cancer or from radiation exposure on these ships. So we know how to actually do it. It's harder in space because you have to get that damn thing in space. All that weight has to go up there. So when you start adding lead shielding to shit, you start double, tripling, quadrupling weight, which is what they don't want to do. So they try to use different types of materials and layer it in there. So this is a good one for y'all. So on the space station, they have Kevlar walls, self-sealing Kevlar walls. Yeah. So yeah, when a thing penetrates it, it'll go in so many layers and it stops and it seals itself. They're all throughout the entire station. You can basically, the new station's going to probably be inflatable, for lack of a better way of saying it. I'm sure there's a better way of expressing it than that. But what I find interesting is in the old days when we ran a lot of space missions, there was lots of extraterrestrial contact, it seemed like. Lots of people. I mean, many astronauts reported seeing stuff in space.
That was one of my questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you got Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. So Mercury missions were just the single guy flying around doing his thing. Gemini was a 2-3, Apollo was a 3, but all of them spent time in orbit. Yep. Alan Shepard said on a couple occasions, he would just be chilling, looking out the window of his capsule, and you just see something float over the top of you. Well, back then, people, there was no debris in space.
Yeah.
See, today you might say, "Oh man, they all did satellite." No, not back then. What was in space? Sputnik. Yeah,
one thing.
Yeah, and I don't even know what it was doing. So I mean, it's not like they were going to run into stuff. So when they would tell you stuff like that, and then because a couple of times they reported seeing things, NASA changed it to where you would hear them talk about, "Oh, I see Santa Claus in his sled."
Right, Santa Claus.
Yeah, little reindeers out there. No, they weren't joking. They seen something. They just couldn't tell you what it was because they'd get in trouble.
Right. The Santa, where the Santa Claus code.
And then what was it? The STS-41 mission? NASA decided we're going to add a 7-second delay to all broadcasts.
Right.
Because for the first time, we seen what appeared to be a UFO moving and someone on Earth taking a shot at it.
Yes, that was crazy.
So, NASA's explanation was that it was ice that had come off.
That wasn't ice. No
and then
way.
when they fired their thrusters, that's what made it stop and change direction. Okay,
Nope.
well, okay, NASA, I'll believe that. But what was that coming off the ground now? And that big bolt of light that went, and as it went, here's the thing, and it's coming by and it goes, oh, whoops.
Yeah, exactly.
Not only did it change direction, it sped up. I'm like, no, I'm thinking, I'm not buying that bolt.
I didn't buy that for a second either. No way.
You're going to have to give me a better explanation than that.
Way better.
I was talking to Jeff Chandler, one of the astronauts, and because he had put a little video compilation together, weird stuff they had saw in space. And then he gave me a copy. And he put it up for sale and was doing pretty well. NASA made him pull it because it was all NASA material.
Oh.
And he was pissed. But we talked about it. He said, Joe, I'm not going to tell you they're aliens. He said, but I'm going to tell you it's not ours. And so I'm going to tell you it's not the Russians. Because if the Russians had stuff like that, we'd have already been conquered.
Fair point.
and just like Navy pilots and commercial airline pilots, you are supposed to report them. A lot of people had quit reporting because you could lose your job, but then it became a mandatory thing. So Navy pilots have to report. Navy pilots love doing this stuff. They'll catch you. Like before I got promoted to an officer when I was still enlisted, one of the pilots came to me and he said, Joe, I need you to report this. And he told me the whole thing. I said, I'm not reporting that. Were you crazy? I mean, I was 18 at the time. I'm like, no, dude. So he said, I'm your officer. I'm giving you an order. I'm like, so I went to the command on watch and gave him the report. He said, did you see that? I said, no, the pilot said, he said, he just didn't want to come tell y'all. He said, which one was it? I said, I can't tell you that. If he didn't going to tell you, I can't tell you. He said, Joe, there's only 4 pilots been on the ship in the last hour.
Yeah.
I said, well, it should be easy for you to figure out then. That was, but I mean, there was lots of stuff. It's like whatever that thing happened in 83. I was on a Nimitz in 83 and President Reagan was coming out. 83, 84, I think it was 83. President Reagan came to the ship and he came in. They brought him in with a fighter escort, landed him on deck. He got out, waved to everybody because we were all still on deck, and he went into the side of the command tower.
Sure.
And then you get this alarm comes over, clear the deck, clear the deck, clear the deck. And I'm thinking, we're in the middle of bringing in planes. You mean clear the deck? We had planes coming in, so deck starts clearing. We're bringing the rest of our planes in, and it's still alarms going off. So the last jet, I put it on the elevator because we didn't have more room on the deck, and I was bringing it down. And right as I get on the elevator, me and these 4 guys, you see this thing, only can be described as a saucer, comes over the top of the ship nice and slow, goes all the way to the front of the ship and just sets down on the front of the deck. Well, when he sat down on the deck, the ship did this.
It listed. Yeah.
Okay. Peter, do you know how heavy an aircraft carrier is?
Yeah.
And this thing, I mean, the ship just, it felt like the ASM was coming out the water. I mean, it was enough that everybody in the ship shifted forward. And we even had stuff. Thank God we had all planes strapped down. Somebody got killed.
Oh my God.
And and then you hear everyone, the captain came on and he was pissed because there were still people on the deck. So we get downstairs and power starts clicking off, and they got a row of monitors the guys downstairs use to watch the deck crews in case something happens. So you see this thing, and then you see the door open up, and you see what looks to be like an alien. I don't know how to describe it. It was such a fuzzy, blurry, grainy thing. I hate to describe it. And then it goes up to the tower, and then it comes back with what looked to be the president and 2 escorts walked into the ship. They stayed in there. They stayed in there for about 2 hours, and then they came back. And we were at dead stop at this point. We just stopped. We're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. USS Nimitz at a full stop, which the only time we ever stopped is when we went port. So that was kind of creepy, weird. And it feels weird when you don't hit it. That engine's going. And you do, the ship, because a lot of times you don't feel the waves because the damn carrier is so big, but you do them in certain kind of seas, but still. So we sat there, and then I remember one of the petty officers was like, "Oh, wait, they're coming out. So they came out, and the president and these 2 guys walked off a little ways, and this alien came out, which looked at least 2 foot taller than Reagan, 1.5 feet for sure. Wow. And I think Reagan was in his 6 foot range. So
yeah,
I was like, damn. But it was so far off. It was hard. The only reason I think it was a tall gray is because it was a saucer ship. But I cannot swear by it because everything I seen looked blurry. And the monitors, you could see that ship crisp and clean. But when it focused in on the people, they were always fuzzy. And they never were fuzzy when you were watching the decks. So it was something that was going on. So I think the alien gives out some kind of energy that screws with cameras and stuff. Because I noticed most of the time when the ship's pattern. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that ship did, because I noticed we were told to turn off certain equipment when it landed. Oh. I guess it would have affected the equipment, certain types of radars and stuff that we have. Jimmy, Navy does not have one radar. Sorry. I can't even, look, dude, I would tell you, but they'd probably come looking for me. And I know what they had when I was in there, and I know what they have now, and it's wickedly bad. And most people don't know, but the Navy is doing away with sonar, because sonar is a great tool, don't get me wrong, but when you ping something with sonar, they know where you are.
Yeah, there's a downside to it. Yeah.
So when we're actively running subs with pinging sonar, we know where you are now, but guess what? They know where we are too. So
exactly.
It can get a little rough. And I've talked to submariners who have talked about USOs, underwater flying objects, flying around. There was a story that sounded something right out of, what was that movie? Oh man, when they were in the underwater oil rig or the rig that what the hell was the name of it?
Deep Blue Sea or something like that?
No, it was the Abyss.
Oh, the Abyss. Okay.
It was the Abyss. And it sounded like something right out of the Abyss. He said there's a couple of times things have come up alongside him and the ship just boom. So the captain panicked one time because they were in deep water, like 6 miles deep. So sub's not going to take that. They know running into the ground, you'll explode before you hit the ground.
Right.
It's implode. I'm sorry.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. But there's been lots of that. Now, I have not met a fighter pilot, Air Force or Navy, that had not seen a UFO. Not one. Matter of fact, when we were in the line shack on the carrier end, when I was stationed in Alvin Callender Field, when we were in the line shack, these pilots were constantly talking about all the things they had saw. And there was and then I was doing an investigation into the triangle sightings in Belgium in the 1990s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to talk to an F-16 pilot that NATO had scrambled. So NATO had scrambled two wings, two F-16 wings. 6
wings?
Yeah, wings. No, but they call them wings. That's a flying.
I know, but was it like that's 5-6 planes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 6 jets each. Yeah, so there's 12 in total headed there. Okay. So the first 6. So this is so weird. The first 6 are approaching the thing. 2 of them are saying, "This thing is huge." The other 4 are going, "We don't see it, dude. They're flying wingtip to wingtip. What do you mean you don't see it?"
Oh, wow.
And the pilot's like, and the one, but you hear the captain over the thing going, "What the bleep you mean you don't see it? It's right there in front of us. Open your damn eyes." He said, "There's nothing there. And it wasn't showing up on radar." And he said, "Well, y'all need to return to base if you can't see the target." So those 4 turned around. As they turned around, the other flights come in, the other 6. Out of that 6, only 1 pilot saw the ship.
Wow.
So they sent us back. So instead of having 12 jets, now they have 3 F-16s that can see this thing. Fully loaded F-16s, no less. Yeah. So you hear the pilot's going, I kept asking, do I engage? Do I engage? Do I engage now? So you hear, he says, the guy from the general from NATO calls and he says, "How big is this thing?" He says, "It's about the size." I forgot the name of the city it was over. It was a big city. So he said, I'm thinking maybe 5 square miles or longer. And he said, you hear the guy come over the PA and goes, "Return to base."
Okay.
Immediately. He said, we turned around and we left. He said, so the next day he starts asking, because there were sightings reported all over Belgium on several occasions. So this thing went over a city and it had 270,000 people in this city. And I think 4,000 people saw it. It was even on TV. People, it made the news. And people were going outside and looking for it. And some people saw it, but most people didn't. It's like the Mexico cities.
It's a perception thing.
Yeah. Well, I think like one of the easiest ones for Americans to understand is the Phoenix Lights. Phoenix is a big city. A couple million people live there. But yet less than 14,000 people saw this thing. And don't forget, there's people that live up the side, the hills all the way around, because, Phoenix is in a valley. Yeah. And a good friend of mine, Lindsay Tai, who was a doctor at the time when she saw it, she said it was funny because I was talking to people, my neighbors on either side couldn't see it, but I'm sitting there looking at this thing almost eye level to my house.
Okay.
And she said, I'm watching the news and the guy's saying, "Look, can't you see it on camera?" And some people are saying, yeah. And a lot of people are saying, no. I think really and truly contactees see UFOs. I don't think the everyday person, I don't think if you haven't been in one, you're going to be able to see one. I think there's some type of something that changes either in your perception, in your mind, your eyes, once you board a craft. You're open to it, I guess. Or maybe your body or something picks up the energy. But there's been too many mass sightings. Well, not that many. Mexico City was 22 million people when the sighting happened. It stayed there for a day. More than 1 million reports. Where was the other 21 million people? So you had the mayor of Mexico City on TV with Jaime Maussan and a couple of others talking about this thing hovering over the city.
Hmm.
And you had police chiefs and fire chiefs. They're all talking about it. But then other people say, it's nothing up there. And you see cameras going up, and some people saw a clear sky, and some people saw like something botting up against it. The original report was, and the reason they put this in the movie Signs was there was a flock of crows coming in, and they ran smack into the side of them. They all fell out of the sky. And that got somebody's attention. So he went on the news and saw what he saw, and then people started looking, and then more and more people started reporting it. But still, 22 million people, where was the rest of them? New York City, when the ambassador saw the UFO take that woman out of the window with the 2 Secret Service guys, no one else saw it.
Right.
No one else saw it. And you have to ask yourself, why did no one else see it? New York's a big city.
Yeah.
Cash Landry case, this thing flew all over the place, and they were the only ones to see it. But I hate to say this, I think Cash Landry was ours because of one, when it passed over the car, they said it melted the asphalt. The woman, 2 of the women died of cancer from extreme exposure.
Wow.
So that sounds like it was ours. Plus, there was a mass of helicopters and planes following behind it.
Oh, it was under escort. Yeah.
So it was something we were testing, and it went awry.
Golly.
Because, we've been working, most people don't realize it, but we could have had nuclear engines a long time ago for planes and boats and everything else.
Sure.
So originally, Stanton Freeman and I wanted to talk to him one night about what he did for a living, and he was a nuclear physicist, not a PhD nuclear physicist. He used to get pissed when people would tell him that. But so we were talking about it, and he said, no, Joe, he said, the main reason they didn't do it, he said, building a nuclear plane engine is not that complicated. He said, and we could have been fueling these planes. One plane could have been running on the same stick for 2 or 3 years. He said, the problem is we had to store the waste and radiation at airports.
Oh.
He said, that's an instant dirty bomb.
Gotcha.
He said, if we lived in a better world, he said, we'd probably be using them. He said, and then you'd have to take all kind of precautions because of, waste from the ship and things like that. The thrust, is there going to be any contamination in the thrust? But they'd already had nuclear planes flying at the time. They just decided not to use them.
Wow.
And think about a B-2 Spirit with a nuclear reactor.
Yeah.
No refueling at all. Probably pump it up to about Mach 3, zip over to Iran, dump a couple of 100 tons of bombs, and come back. It's just, but no, that's why we have nuclear submarines and nuclear carriers. We actually have a nuclear destroyer too.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we also have rail guns and lasers that most people don't even realize we have. That thing they call the Zimwalt I think that was a fantasy wish. There's 3 of them. They quit making them because they're very expensive destroyers. They do work. The rail guns were great. I watched them cut a World War II battleship in half with a rail gun.
Fun.
So he turns it. Well, at the time there was 3 of them on board this Zimwalt. So they turned it, and they were about 2 miles, 3 miles away from this thing, and they aimed it up like this, and they just went all the way down. You see it go through the water, and then you see the ship go.
Wow.
It was gone. Oh no, it was whoever sent me that just now. It was parked at Bikini Island atoll.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, where they removed 8 feet of topsoil to try to get rid of the radiation.
Yep.
They got all kind of mutations. The government don't like to talk about mutations.
No.
They don't want you to know that radiation actually does that to things. Don't look at me. I'm not the one that invented it.
Well, let me talk to you about. I've told the story, and maybe I told it when you were here too. But there was when I was at NASA, I was a nobody intern. No one paid attention to me. Well, we had a transition at Moffett Field. We went from Navy control to Air Force control. And when that happened, we got new SFs versus the Navy police. Anyway. Apparently they'd all transferred in from different bases and stuff. And there was one guy who was from Vandenberg apparently, and he says, "Yeah, did you ever hear the story at your base about the ships there? What are you talking about?" So he tells the story. He says, "Well, when I got there, I was told this story kind of as a cautionary tale," and he goes on to say, a few years before I got there, these guys were on patrol somewhere near the end of the supersonic runway. That's the auxiliary for the shuttle back in the day, and supersonic craft, obviously. And they're at a group of buildings somewhere near one of the ends. I can't remember which end of the supersonic runway. It's like a warehouse or something like that, or auxiliary hangar or something. And he says, and these two guys walking the route, and it's like they feel like they pass through like a static charge, and suddenly they see this gigantic spaceship just hovering, like maybe a mile, if not way lower, and it's just hovering there. It's a big cigar-shaped looking thing. And these dudes in white Soko suits are wheeling, what are those called? Mississippi carts? The big flatbeds, the oversized flatbeds, wheeling cargo into this warehouse or hangar or whatever. And once they get the cargo inside, they kind of round a little corner, and then there's a flash, and it's bluish. And then up on the ship, they have this, what looks like their cargo bay or flight deck or something, the slot that's there, and there's a corresponding blue flash up there. So they drew a conclusion. It's like they're teleporting stuff up there. It's kind of bizarre, but it was weird. They actually backed away, got through this field they perceived, and the ship was suddenly gone. It was like a projected cloak. It was it was really bizarre. And 3 different teams cited this thing, and every single time the CEO said, "You didn't see anything, take it out of your reports. I will never acknowledge it happened." That's it. That's my story. So do you think that's it is technology that is causing this perception field, or is it a combination between technology and experience?
It may not be a perception field. You may actually be somewhere else. So the Greys and the reptilians supposedly can do cross-galaxy teleportation.
Ooh.
So, which means you may not even been on Earth when you walk through. You've been somewhere off-world. So I always tell people when they see stuff, like, always see your surroundings. Get a chance if you can. Look at the sky. Just, somebody asked me it too when they have these weird dreams about it. I said, look for a newspaper. Ask your consciousness, what date was it? And when they have those Holocaust dreams, it's one of the first things I do. Well, look around, see what you can see that has a date on it. Look at the cars. What do they look like? The one guy was telling me they were in Houston, he said the stoplights were different. He said they didn't look like the ones we have today. He said they were definitely stoplights. He said, but there were no poles. They were just there. Like they were just stuck in that piece of the air. He said, you didn't see any wires, you didn't see any poles, but there was lights. He said, and there were cars. He said, even though the cars looked different, when they describe them, it's hard for people to try to describe futuristic stuff sometimes. All right, we got maneuvers going on. Well, we've got a CB base, a SEALs base, a Navy construction yard, and a NASA facility, all within like 10 miles of each other.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of so it's an interesting place to live. We've seen all kind of stuff where we live. It's we bought this house because we're crazy. So when I was like 3 or 4, Hurricane Betsy came, and we had a house not far from here, but a mile from where I live right now, in a place called Pass Christian Isle. And my dad waited a little long to leave, so when we left, we got to the highway and we were trying to get to the bridge, to cross the bridge to get over side the bay. Well, excuse me, there's a wave just grabbed the car, big white Cadillac with them big flare wings on it.
Ooh.
Picked it up and was taking us out to the Gulf, and the chain link fence wrapped around the tailpipe and pulled the car down. The car settled like this. Well, mom can't swim, not even a stroke. And so my dad pulls us out the car and puts us on the trunk. And I still remember, because you know, had those red and white lights on the side of the door. They were still lit up, even though they were underwater.
Yeah.
It stuck into my head. And then I remember my dad left and some guys came swimming up. He found some guys somewhere and they came and got us and brought us to where the house they were at. And I woke up watching Bugs Bunny. Wind still howling like a you know what. And people said, "Why don't you fear hurricanes?" I said, "Because if you live through that one, why worry?"
Exactly.
that proved the point to me. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. If not, you don't have to worry about it. But the reason I brought that up is because a block from where I live right now, one of the best UFO sightings I've ever had happened. So my wife and I were sitting outside watching this. We were getting ready to go to the casino, so we stopped. It was 1-2 o'clock in the morning, so we stopped. We just want to see the sky because it's a beautiful sky. And I had noticed there were 2 state troopers parked side by side talking to each other up the road. So we're sitting there. You see this thing. The water starts glowing this weird greenish color, and it starts to like get a bubble on it. It's like raising up. It just kept going. And all of a sudden you see this thing break the surface, and water's just rolling off of it, just like the one in Gulf Breeze. It gets up to a certain height, and it stops. And then it kind of tilted a little bit, and it just started drifting. It drifted right over us, drifted right over the 2 cops. 2 cops freaked out. They were on their mic, the PAs. You could hear them talking and stuff. Lights are flashing and shit. Cars are shaking and stuff. And it just keeps going, and it just kind of went down Highway 90 for a couple of miles, and then it was gone.
Wow.
Like a door opened, and it was gone. Okay. And that was a great sighting. So I actually walked up to the 2 troopers and talked to them about it. And they were like, well, we'll go on record here, but we can't actually, because one of the guys was 3 years off retired and one was 4.
Oh.
So let me get you information. I won't bother you. I said, I want to get what you think of the story, but I won't report the story until after you're out. And I said, so I'll wait about 5 years to report it. And so I went and talked about it on air, but I never mentioned them until later on. And then I actually got one of them to come on the show with me. So which
nice.
He said it changed his life. He said he it just changed his life. And then, the other day I'm listening to our vice president. I kind of like the guy, but I don't know. He lost some serious points with me the other day. He said that aliens are demons.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. Where do you stand on that?
Vice president. So wait, this is even worse for him, because the Vatican comes out and said, no, they're not demons, they're aliens.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, JD, the Vatican just bitch slapped you, buddy. I mean, dude, pay attention. I mean, you just got slapped.
Yeah.
Because, we'd already known what the Vatican's belief was. When I met Father Monsignor Balducci in DC 20 years ago, and Piella Harris had to do all the translation because she spoke Italian. But he told me right off the bat, he said, the Vatican believes that they're spiritually closer to God than we are.
Fascinating.
He said they're a much older race than we are. They understand the universe in a much greater way than we are, and they're more intelligent than we are. Meaning, and then according to him, the Greys had actually told someone at the Vatican that yes, we are spiritual creatures, but you don't understand what God is. Well, I mean, aliens been around a billion years. They might have a better understanding of what God is.
Sure.
And we know the other 2 races practice a religion. The humans and the reptilians both have singular religions, but still. I don't know how you get one world. See, that's our problem with our world. What is it, like 1,100 religions?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
So when you listen to the aliens talk, or the people talk about the aliens that have seen the council, all those worlds are united worlds. There are no split governments. They're all one government, which makes total sense. Because when you think about this, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go to the moon and Mars, and we're going to do all this as the United States. Just think if we could stop spending $1 trillion a year in defense, and the rest of the world spending another $1 trillion a year defense, take $1 trillion for exploration, another $1 trillion for science, take all the top leaders in all the fields from around the world, stick them together and let them figure things out. We'd be so much more advanced so fast it wouldn't even be funny.
Oh, yeah.
And now with the help of AI adding in, I mean, a friend of mine wrote to me last night about AI's evil. So it's not necessarily evil. It's just not us. He said, I don't understand why they didn't close it the first day. It said the best way to save the planet was to kill all humans off. I said, because they asked the wrong question, Bruce. They should have asked, how do you save humanity?
Yep.
Not how do you save the planet, because it's right. You want to save the planet, get rid of us. But in all fairness, we're not going to kill the planet. There's nothing we can do to kill Earth. Unless somebody comes up with a bunker buster that can split the planet, we could launch every nuclear weapon we have. It'd kill all of us, kill a lot of animals. But guess what? In 100,000 years, life will be here. In 1,000,000 years, there'll probably be intelligent life again. I mean, come on, there's already been 5 great extinctions on this planet.
Uh-huh.
I mean, one rock pretty much multiplies half the planet, and we're still here.
Yep.
So, I think when it comes to life, it's going to always try to find a way. That's one of the reasons I'm partly into panspermia, because we have found so many asteroids lately and rocks lately with all this life on it that it's all the building blocks for life on it, that it's pathetic to think that there's not much more life. And I think as we grow as a society, I think even inside of our solar system, we're going to find more life. Intelligent, I don't know. We're not going to, but we're going to definitely find life. There's life on Mars, people. Now that we know that there's heat, oxygen, or heat atmosphere and pressure on Mars, and underground there's liquid water, you can bet your ass there's life on Mars. Probably some type of amoebas. Shit, NASA thought they found a squirrel skull. But look,
yeah. I saw
there's a couple times they thought they found fossils, which would make sense if the planet was like ours all those years ago.
Oh, yeah.
That's 1 billion years ago. Dude, we find fossils all the time on our planet. 100
That's
million,
true.
500 million,
Very
billion
true.
years. And now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, they're pushing life on our planet much further back than it used to be. So life was supposedly started here 1 billion years ago, and advanced life started about 800 million years. They're pushing all of that back. So there may have been more than 5 extinctions. Yeah. But it does seem like about every 300 million years, 200 million years, we have an extinction event. I'm really thinking, I think the orbit of our galaxy around the universe, or our solar system around the galaxy, is about 250 million years. So I think what happens is there's someone, don't hold me to it, people. It's been a long time since I checked, but it's something like that. So I'm thinking what happens is there's some part of space that Earth passes through every so often that irradiates most of the life on the planet. Maybe we pass through a bunch of red dwarfs or some maybe near pulsar or something that extinguishes life on this planet, because it's too weird that it happens so many times. Well, the last asteroid, the one that hit the Yucatan Peninsula, wasn't big enough to wipe out all life on Earth.
And that was huge.
I mean, you can see the damn crater from space.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Especially when the water's real crisp and clean down there, you can see all the way down at the bottom of the Gulf. Oh no,
it's incredible.
Don't believe that. Raymond, did you send me? Don't believe the Gulf is shallow. Oh no, the Gulf gets very deep.
Yeah,
very deep. It's shallow along the inland shores, but once you get out in the Gulf, it is deep. They got whales swim up in there, dude. They got submarines swim up in there too that we don't even ever see that they're there. Well, just recently. What the hell was that?
I'm scratching something on my end.
No, it sounded like somebody was tapping outside.
Oh, okay.
It's probably one of my damn neighbors. It's it's weird where all this is going to go. Most people, when you ask them, do they think there's life in the universe? They say yes. It's when you ask them, are they here? It gets sketchy. But even a lot of times, then you can get 50%. But when you ask them other things, like do abductions go on, it's less than like 20%, maybe even 10%. And so I asked a congressman not too long ago, I said, well, why do you think they're coming here? He said, well, how long do you think they've been coming? I said, they've been coming here longer than we've been a nation. They've been coming here longer than Europe's been the European continent.
Oh, yeah.
I said, they've been here a long time. I said, according to the Sumerians, 6,000 years at least. According to the Dogon, at least 10,000. And if you go by the stories they tell, it's more like 15,000. Same time we found those 2 cities off the coast of India. So now that's another thing we know now. We were always told life started 6,000 years ago in Samaria. Now we find that was not true.
Yep, that's true.
We got, ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 sunken cities off the coast of India that we found when that tsunami hit. They got uncovered. They date them between 10 and 15,000 years ago. That city off the coast of Cuba is at least 15,000 years. Yeah. So that would mean it was the first pyramids built, not the last.
Right.
I imagine all that was all probably connected to Bimini roads there and all that. There was probably a way from the Gulf of Mexico all the way to the Middle East at one point.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure the topography was such. That would be. That would make sense to me.
Well, there's too many similarities between the Egyptians and the Mesoamericans. Now, it's not perfect symmetry by any means, but the fact that there were certain lines of thought they went along, I found most interesting. And maybe that was where Atlantis was, Johnny. Right there, and it sank. Well, think about it. That city right now, the one at the coast of Cuba, is in 800 feet of water.
Yeah.
But it was above the earth. I mean, 15,000 years ago, it was above. Was that ice? It could have been somebody might have built a city on a glacier. But I don't think so, because glaciers tend to move.
Fair point. Yeah.
I guess they could have built it on the Florida side, and then it could have just been pushed across to the Cuba side. I don't know. I don't know.
It's so intact, though. That's the thing.
That's the thing. It is. It's intact. You see the whole thing sitting at the bottom of the ocean. So maybe it didn't sink. Maybe Cuba rose.
That could be very true. Yeah.
So well, in Japan, they've learned some things that they thought something actually sank, but then they realized the surrounding topography came up out of the water higher. Well, there's that thing there's that city off the coast of Cuba that off of Japan, that they always tell you is natural. The angles are too perfect.
Yeah. Far too perfect.
I had a guy was arguing with me. I said, dude, I was a contractor for 40 years. You don't get that kind of angles in nature. It just doesn't happen. And I said, it'd be one thing if you had the straight angle right here, but not these next 5 steps coming down.
Yeah, exactly. Slate doesn't chip that easy. That perfectly.
Well, Jimmy, the scary part about these steps are when you see a man standing on a step, he doesn't even reach from one side to the other of the step.
We're getting to giants now. Yeah.
There's something, I don't know, maybe there were ladders on them. I don't know. It does look like there were areas. And then there's these little circle holes cut in different places around, like there was poles stuck in there or something. Yeah. Well, we seen that with the Roman, whatchamacallit? What do you call the damn Roman, where they used to have the fights?
The Colosseum?
The Colosseum, yeah. So at the top of the Colosseum, they got these little holes that were made for poles. They used to have canopies that rolled out.
Yeah.
They would roll them out. And yeah. Well, rich people were rich people even back then, my friends.
Yep. That's very true. Hey, Joe, I'm going to do a quick little pause. We're going to do like a 15-second station break, and then we're back in. Give us a moment, everyone. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest. And we're back.
Dun, 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 dun. I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day about he's really, all of a sudden, he saw something when he was in California, and he swears he's seen these 2 aliens walking out to the beach where this white light opened and they walked in underwater. Well, in all fairness to him, I've actually seen where the door opens up and they go underwater. And not just me, several people have seen it. But I was asking him, I said, well, how did you see that? I said, have you had any? He said, no, I've never seen an alien before. I said, I want to hypnotize you. He's like, no. I said, well, we're going to hypnotize you. We're going to find out what you actually know. I said, because I don't think you can see him unless you've already been abducted. I said, so let's find out. And then I still remember his old lady calls me. She goes, no, Joe, you're not abducted. You're not, because if it comes out it's true, I'm leaving you. I said, okay. I said, well, why don't you let me hypnotize you and see if anything goes on? And she's like, no. So when he called me back, I said, your wife said no. Sorry, dude. He said, I said, I'm not going to argue. I said, I'm friends with both of you. I'm not getting into it. I said, I'll give you a number if you want to go to somebody else to have it done. It's, because that's not a fight I wanted to get into, but and we do try not. We're probably the only organization that tries not to use hypnosis. I mean, we'll use it, but we would rather not. Gotcha. I would rather be able to recover the information from you face to face by talking and awaken memories than hypnosis. But sometimes you can't get past things, especially now that they use cover memories or looped memories instead of cover memories. Cover memories were easy to break. Looped memories are way hard to break because your brain doesn't realize it's fake, because it's a loop memory is simply something that you have done repetitively for long periods of time. So when some weird anomaly happens, but that's what you see, your brain's not going to question it. It's going to be, no, well, I do that all the time. What's the big deal? My favorite story is always about the hot dog lady, the pregnant hot dog lady. She used to crack.
Hot dog lady.
Oh, this woman, she was a professional businesswoman, but she got pregnant, and every morning on the way to work, every morning, we're talking about 8 o'clock in the morning, she'd stop by the stand that would just open. Matter of fact, the guy started opening an hour early so he could wait on her. She used to get these massive chili coney hot dogs full of air. I'm surprised they didn't kill her. And she ate them the whole time she was pregnant. And then, like 2 years after that, and then the stand closed down and it was gone. Well, she calls me one night and she goes, Joe, I had a hot dog at my favorite hot dog stand again. I'm like, what? I said, why do I need to know that? She said, Joe, the hot dog stand does not exist. She said, and she went through the whole dream and what happened. And she said, the stand doesn't exist. I want to be hypnotized. So they were in Colorado at the time, I believe. So I had a good friend up there in Denver. I had him catch up and they put her under, and sure enough, she had been taken. Just wow. Outright taken, outright. And that was a memory they used. And again, if it wouldn't have been close, she would have never questioned it. She would have just said, okay, well, I got a hot dog that morning, and what the hell? It wouldn't have been any kind of question. It's like and then we had this rash of contactees. They would call me up and say, Joe, I got sand in my car. I'm like, so? No, dude. I got white beach sand in my car. I said, you know where I live in the middle of I live in, like, one lady said, where was she, in Detroit or something? She said, there's no sand around here. She said, there's no white sand within 100 miles here, which is probably more like 500 miles. Well, we had found out that people were being called to places like Gulf Breeze, Florida, and other communities where they were being taken. So we had people who were getting in cars in the middle of the night and driving down to Florida. And then driving back, not even know it happened.
Wow.
So the one lady thought her son was stealing the car because it was racking up mileage. So she put a camera on the house and a camera in the car. And she found that she was stealing her car. She went to a doctor, said, I got some kind of weird sleepwalking thing. And the guy looked at one of the videos from her house. She said, you're not sleepwalking. You're wide awake there. She said, I don't remember any of that. She said, you're wide awake there. You're not sleeping. You can tell by the way you're moving. And she said, well, I don't know what to think. And then we had her regressed and a deep hypnosis, and all kind of stuff came out. But, that's another thing I try not to do, because you never know how Jane or Joe's going to react when they find out. It's one thing guessing and him and hawing and stuff like that, but when you relive the memory, you now know it's real.
Right.
And you're kind of like, well, bleep, 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 bleep. And but what are you going to do? So the best thing we can teach anybody is how to incorporate the experience into your life. Because it's a real experience, and you just you make it part of your life. That way it doesn't become something odd or weird. It just becomes like any other problem in your life that you have to deal with. And since not all contact is a bad thing, which even the bad ones usually stop in their late 20s and move on to some other contact, it's only dealt with. And in all fairness, we don't hear as much of the experiments we used to hear from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. I don't think they're through with their project by any means, but they seem to, in some family lines, they don't seem to need to do certain experiments anymore. And then all of England is a control study, because they still have this certain type of abduction over there that doesn't exist in the rest of the world anymore. It's like it's a control group of some kind.
No kidding.
And so a good friend of mine got mad at me. She called me one day. She said, I can't believe you. I said, I'm not using you as a control study. How do you think I have any control over this? You shouldn't have told us. I'm like,
come on.
I'm still waiting to see that movie Rendlesham. Everybody told me it was good. There seemed to be some kind of controversy with the stars and the director. It took like 5 years to get out.
Huh.
I was in it. I don't know if I'm still in it, because I'm the one who did the original voice stress on Larry Warren.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did Larry Warren and Peter Robbins.
Oh, that's crazy.
So Peter and I used to be pretty close. He had all the original tapes from East at Leftgate, or Left at Eastgate, and the book that him and what's his face wrote together. Larry wrote together. So he had all the original tapes of him, like walking through the forest, talking about what went on here and what went on there. What was interesting about this is when you played the tapes, and I hooked them up with a voice stress meter, while they were talking, you could see signs of stress when they were talking about particular areas and particular events that happened. So right off the bat, it looked like they were telling the truth. But when I scored the entire test, which took me a couple of hours, it scored out. It was a 91% positive that they were positively telling the truth. It wasn't 100%, but it was 91%, which was damn good. So then I said, okay, I'm gonna be nice. I called Colonel Halt. I called Jim Pennison and John Burroughs and said, would you like to be polygraphed? I just did ladder warn. Let me help y'all out to give you more authenticity to your case. All three refused.
Okay.
And then a couple of days later, Pennison and Burroughs came out with that everything was time traveling and that they were time travelers.
The aliens?
No, them two. John yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, Joe, don't be mean, Joe, don't be mean. So then I called him up and said, let me polygraph you because I think you're full of blank, 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 blank. And he's like, that was rude. I said, well, I mean, dude, you just made an outlandish claim and I want something to back it up with. Right. I said, this ain't the old ufology. We're not just going to keep taking bullshit because somebody says it was real without asking questions. I said, I want to know that it was real and not something that was in your head. And maybe you out doing, maybe you did some acid one night, did some ecstasy or something. I don't know. It's and people get mad because we're hard on people who drink and stuff like that when they give in reports. We'll take the report, but we always got to take it with a grain of sand because you don't know how loaded a person was.
Right.
And then sometimes because people do drugs and alcohol, it allows those dreams to come out in their subconscious. Yeah. Which is another reason for them to do more drugs and more alcohol.
Yep.
A good friend of mine, she used to tell me all the time, she's like, Joe, every time I have these experiences, I'll go eat some pain pills and just zing out. I said, stop it. You're going to be addicted. You're going to end up dead. She almost OD'd, so she finally quit it. I said, just call somebody. I said, you have so many of our directors' phone numbers. Just call them and talk to them. I said, you're in town with 3 directors. I said, they'll come out and see you. Or you go have lunch with them. I said, you don't need the drugs to hide it. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
Now she's writing a book. We'll see what happens. But she's been off the alcohol and drugs now for about 5 years. So
that's good.
And it happens. And a lot of people, think about it. People hide in the bottle all the time for lots of small reasons.
That's true.
Being abducted by extraterrestrials is not a small thing. I could see that. Oh, I got a little surprise for some of the viewers of the network. And we're not exactly how it's going to be deployed yet. So people know we're on Roku television. Well, we're changing companies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and we were going with this other company, which was going to start on the 16th of April, because the company we're with right now only shows us in live mode. And we want to have pay for view and pay for listen and to be able to put up archives, right?
Yeah.
So I was getting ready to sign the contract with this other company. And then yesterday I get a phone call from a different company. So for about the same price as other companies was giving us, they're going to give us Roku, Fire Stick, OSI TV, Google, Apple, and Samsung.
Wow.
So people in these packages. So the station, I haven't talked to Michelle how this is going to work out for the shows yet. She knows about it because we talked about it last night. I'll be talking with that company later today, and then one day next week, Michelle and I will get together for a demo. But it's such an interesting package. So we're going to offer to the host something really cheap, probably, but all 6 instead of 1. So probably for you people who are already on Roku paying, you might be paying $10 more than what you're paying. Don't hold me because Michelle's going to have the final say in this in the end because that's her job. Gotcha. I mean, I could override her, but why have a manager if you're going to constantly override her? So she does a fabulous job. She doesn't need my help. She needs to know what I'm doing is what she needs to know. So that it's not dropped in her lap unexpectedly. But I think one day next week, before I go to LA, we're going to have the demo. And that way, either while I'm in LA, when I come back, we can set up a new site and then we'll have all these other venues. Well, people, I mean, a lot of people, there's 180 million people on Roku, about 160 million on Fire Stick. There's probably 80 or 90 million on both of the Samsung and the Apple. God knows what's on Google. I'd have to look it up and see. And OSI is just off the website, so there'll be a video link right off the website if you want to do it that way. So that'll be direct stats. But the nice part about this is, so when we do pay for listen or pay for view, so let's say Tim wants to go out and do an investigation somewhere. Now Tim can have a couple of options. He can do the investigation live on television while he's where he's at, because we have the equipment to do that now. And it doesn't take, it's not all sophisticated like it used to be. You can do it off a cell phone if you want.
Sure.
It's easier off a pad because you get a better picture, but you can do it off the cell phone. And so anyway they go, they'll have the ability to be live. So we can charge for the live view, and then we can put it in the archive as a paid member archive. And because when people do things like this, ladies and gentlemen, it costs money. You know, hotels, airplanes, car, whatever, it costs money. When you do something locally, it's one thing. But when you're doing, you know, like the boys want to go to Gettysburg, Jay and Sean wants to go. So you come with us. We go. The four of us are just going to go. I told him wait till my next DC trip and we'll all get together and we'll do a live from Gettysburg.
Nice.
Yeah. Bring out some equipment with us and have some fun.
I like it.
What do you mean? What Stacy? What do you mean ghost button equipment? I have ghost button. I don't use it for that. I got a thermal thing, but I use it for checking air conditioning refrigerator temperatures. But you can use it for anything.
Oh sure.
It shows, and we got all kind of EMP meters and stuff for other things. None of this. We have all the equipment that Ghost Hunters use. We just don't use it for that. We use it for something else. But most are contractor people, and everything that Ghostbusters use, with the exception of whatever that stupid box is, which I'm skippy on that box. No, people, I go back and forth in that box. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, wow. And sometimes I'm like, really? I don't even know what to think about it. It's because sometimes they get some really good stuff off of it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, okay, somebody's blanking me around here.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. You got to have reputable researchers to know who's what. But those boxes are cool. And then this network, somewhere on one of these computers, has got to be like 1,000 EVPs. So paranormal shows, especially, they'll be doing shows. And if they start doing EVPs, all of a sudden, their next couple of shows will have EVPs in them. Sometimes they hear them on air, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you'll get a report from somebody who's listening to the archive, and they'll send you the section. What is this? What is this? Yeah. And you're listening to it. And then I forgot who it was. One of them was talking. One of our hosts was trying to call something, and you hear it in the background. So, you stupid blonde, that's not how you do it. That clear. And Kim looks at me. She says, but I'm not even blonde. I said, you look pretty blonde to me. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, my friend. And then Stephanie Benetti, who used to host on network, God rest in peace. She passed away not too long ago, but she was a host with me, and she was a manager of the network for about 8 years. When she was with her boyfriend in New York, they were both out of New York. They lived he lived in Manhattan, she lived in Staten Island, and they were constantly getting EVPs. It was an ongoing thing. There were several shows on it that were constantly. It was a pain in the ass sometimes. And then I get so many of them, and then we have all these people who come on with EVPs. Literally, we have thousands of them. And like I said, some of them are really good. So I ought to make a damn compilation of them. But
that's a good idea.
Some of them are really good. Some of them not so good. And sometimes I hear people, you'll hear an EVP, and you're like, but then you'll hear somebody say what it is, and then your brain automatically wants to go, that's what it is.
Right.
But that's not always what it is, people. So think about it. Work it out. What do you mean? What are EVPs? EVPs can be a lot of things. Is it ghosties talking to you? I don't know. But I know when I was a kid and we used to listen to AM radio, you would get lots of feedback of people talking, things going through the air. Those were not technically EVPs. Those were real voices traveling, disjointed somehow or another through the airwaves. But it was a person somewhere talking.
Yeah. It stands for electronic voice phenomenon. It's supposed to be when ghost voices are caught on tape or digital playback, but it's a phenomenon based on that. Doing the ghost hunting. Doing the EVP sessions is actually what they call them now.
Yeah, that's what they call them, EVP sessions. It's it's like the guys who provoke. I was with a crew one night, and they provoking, and we were down on the bayou. I said, y'all gonna keep around until Marie comes out here and turns you into something. So the guy looked at me like, what do you mean, Marie? I said, Marie Laveau, you're around where she was buried, dude. You better get your shit together. And no, you lying. Joe said, no, I'm not. And they all got all scared and shit. Actually, if I'm gonna tell you a little secret, ladies and gentlemen, if you come down to New Orleans and you want to go put an X on Marie Laveau, most people go to Cemetery 1 or Cemetery 2, and they say she's buried in one of them, but she's not. I met her grandson, Alistair Colley's, I think it was his great grandson. introduced me to her great grandson.
Hmm.
And so the three of us were sitting in a club in New Orleans drinking, drunk as cooters, man. And he said, "Do you want to see where my great grandmother's buried?" And my boy looks over at him. He says, "Well, I want to."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, let's go." He said, "Well, you got a boat, Joe?" I said, "Yeah, we need a boat." He's like, "Yes, I got a boat." So we went and got the boat. And we went to the Honey Island Swamp, and we rode back in the swamp like 14 miles deep in the swamp. Tied off the boat, threw out a pirogue, which is basically a flat bottom canoe, paddled the rest of the way there. And there's this beautiful house in the middle of nowhere, yard very well kept, house very well kept. You can clearly see her grave. Actually, was more than one person buried back there. It was like a family plot, is what it was.
Okay,
Because
gotcha.
I was sworn by secrecy, and on the grave, there's a little thing on top of the grave that reads, "If you tell the location of this cemetery, you will be joining us here." Who's going to F Marie Levin? Not me. Marie was serious, man. That girl made some money.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I don't know. The Honey Island's a spooky place. Yeah, it's a spooky place. I've been back there. I mean, we have seen a good friend of mine, Canuck, he came down from Canada doing Katrina to help us work, and Jason, who's also dead too, man. I've been losing friends left. And he's young too, but we were down in Honey Island Swamp about 13 miles back in the swamp on NASA territory. It's a buffer zone for NASA. We way back there. And we're sitting there, pitch black. And I heard Mike go, "What is that?" And I look up, and it looked like a F-18 Hornet. And I was like, "What the hell? What's that doing around here?" And then all of a sudden, you see a perfect triangle. And then you see a perfect saucer. I was like, I'm seeing things. So Dad did with the camera. Now you're getting is like white flares. What they're getting. I don't know if it's something off the craft or because the water vapor was so intense in the air because of where we were that it was causing like a blur. But whatever it was a blur. And then out of nowhere comes two more fighter jets, escort jets, like you see that NASA uses.
Sure.
They come out of nowhere, and they all five of them, when it crossed onto the main base, you seen them there. You seen the two big ships come down, and then you seen the fighters peel off and just disappear.
Gotcha.
So some bitches landed on the NASA Stennis facility. That's a huge facility, just like Eglin Air Force Base is a huge. I mean,
Eglin's huge.
On the Alien Enigma site, there's a picture. We actually got the video of it, of a saucer landing on Eglin Air Force Base. And this is the weird part. We're sitting next to the base on the beach. This thing comes up and stops at the beach, and lights are, it's all kind of color. I'd never seen anything like this. It looked like something out of a freaking carnival. It was lights around the top, the bottom, the top, the middle, and going in different directions. What the hell is this thing? And it kind of nosed, like it tilted and it moved forward and it stopped again. And then it was sitting almost, and this is it's weird. They had just built a new tower on the beach. It's almost sitting level next to the glass tower. Couldn't have been 80 feet from it. And it tilted again, and you seen it go into the swamp, and then it went like this. So, and it disappeared. So I tracked it, and I knew where the tower was. So Joe went and got on Google Earth and took a Google shot of the facility and found out. So being that Eglin is as huge as it is, 884 square miles.
Yeah, it's big.
It had like 70 runways in it that were just in the middle of nowhere. Nothing going to them. Just concrete runway in the middle of the swamp. And these things would just come land on them, and then they would disappear. It looks like the whole damn runway must have went down and came up. They look like they maybe were a quarter mile long or something runways. And no buildings on them, just a runway. No streets, no roads, no lights, no nothing.
Was there an elevator on the runway, maybe?
I guess you couldn't see anything. All it looked like was just a runway. Not even a big runway. It didn't look long enough for most of our jets to even fly off of. So I figured it had to be for something that hovered. And since that's where that saucer went, and we know for a fact there's a big, huge underground base there because we've been in it twice. Well,
you told me that story. That's
one of the times I don't even remember when we found the stairway that went to hell. I don't know what happened then, but my wife and I both refused to get hypnotized for that. Whatever happened there. The one where we lost 11 days, that was a whole different thing. But that story scared MUFON so bad They wouldn't even talk. And I was one of their best directors at the time. They wouldn't even talk to us. And then the letter, it was so weird. And we still have this freaking letter. So Linda wrote out like 8-page letter, just to brief of what went on. And we mailed it to Walt Anders. And Walt Anders had told me he'd gotten it. He had shared it with some of the investigators because Walt said scared the crap out of me. And he said he knew I wasn't making it up because that's just not what I did.
Yeah.
And so then I get a report from MUFON saying that, well, Joe, we don't really look into alien abductions or into military abductions because there was military involved in this case.
I see.
And they like to read themselves. I'm like, okay, that's fine, and that's when I gave my formal notice. And about 5 years after, that's when ICAR was formed.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, really? I said, well, how are you ever going to get to the truth if you don't talk to the people who've actually seen ET?
Exactly.
I said, I don't understand it. But anyway, so I left them, and I don't want to say I formed ICAR because there was a big bunch of us that actually formed the organization. And it was a big pain in the ass because everybody had so many ideas. And I'll tell you this, I will never name anything again without doing an acronym search first. Like UPRN means, what is that? Something look up, some number look up or something. And it's the most popular thing.
Oh.
It's something you use. I forgot. I just seen it earlier today too, and I forgot. And then ICAR, come to find out after about a year, we found out that David Jacobs also had an ICAR. And it was like one word difference between the two names.
Huh.
And him and I used to hate each other. And we were in Laughlin, Nevada, and him and Bud Hopkins were sitting next to each other signing autographs from books. And I walked in, to Bud, and I started talking to him. And Bud said, I remember listening to you on the radio the other day, and we got to talking. So then we got to talking about alien abductions. Of course, David had to jump in with his, everything wants to eat us and kill us bullshit. So we get into, the three of us, we're into a heated debate, right? I look up and I noticed the crowd wasn't moving anymore. There was nobody getting behind me. I'm looking around. So from the doors all the way around, all the tables to us was just stopped. And it was silent in the place. I mean, it was noisy as hell. They had just stopped to listen to this conversation. And Bud looked at me like, is everybody quiet? I said, they're listening to us, Bud. And David's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, they're listening to this conversation. Because we were having, this was a serious conversation we were having.
Yeah.
And at that time, that was the top 3 researchers in the abduction field was standing right there together. So which is a rare thing to start off with.
Right.
It was, but and then I remember I can't remember her name. That lady running the conference in Laughlin came up. She said, do you mind if I have my audience back now? She said people were leaving the room to come over here because people were telling y'all got to come hear this conversation.
Crazy.
Crazy.
That's awesome.
But David always has thought the Greys were here. The reptilians were here to eat us or something. I used to tell him all the time, I said, we're too high in cholesterol. Reppi's like low cholesterol food. That's why they eat fish and stuff too. He was like, you're being an ass. I'm like, no, really, dude. I said, they don't want to eat us. We probably taste funny to them. I said, aliens already think humans smell funny to start off with. So,
well, isn't that the opposite too? Don't they smell like ammonia to us?
Well, according to the Greys, they don't smell like anything. The Greys have no smell. The reptilians is weird because the women tell me they have this musky smell to them. The men tell me the female ones have this musky smell to them. The problem what it is so when you first start smelling, you're kind of like making these faces and stuff. But everybody will tell you after about 15 or 20 minutes of it, you start to convert to where it's becoming sexy.
Oh, it's a pheromone.
So I was kind of like, ooh, what? And it took me a long time to deal with these people having sex with aliens because I was like, y'all are so full of you know what. and I did. And I was hard on them. So I finally said, okay, we're going to put this to an end. I got like 20 of them. I said, I'm going to pay for you to come down here, put you in a hotel room. I'm going to hypnotize all of y'all. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. And sure enough, we got to the bottom of it. And it was what they were telling me. And I was still stunned. And, but then we learned with the reptilians, if you forcefully say no, I don't mean scream at them with your voice, but in your brain forcefully say no, they'll stop. They consider us family, but their hierarchy is different than ours. So if they're an alpha male, alpha female, any size, anybody in your pack, which could be literally millions of people, you have the right to have sex with anytime you want to, unquestioned. It's just part of how they do it. People, how do I know why they do stuff like that? I mean, we can't even figure out why we do the stuff we do, much less extraterrestrials. Come on. But it just seems to be that way. And I've known several women that have fallen in love with them. And well, because they also have the ability, I don't like call it shape shifting, but somehow they have the ability for anybody that are seeing them, they look like this really beautiful humans, so much so that the beauty, it just pulls you to it. But it's not real. And my French ambassador got so mad at me because she was having this affair with one of them. And they would go on flight trips. I'm like, how in the hell is some 9-foot, 900-pound reptilian getting into an airline seat? It just would not register in my head.
Right.
You know, she goes, well, we always flew first class. I said, even those seats aren't that, but you know, maybe you could have fit in first class.
That's a weight differential too.
That's what I'm thinking, man. Plane gonna be wanting to do this. Oh, God, don't put him on a wing, people. Flip us over.
Snap it right off.
It's kind of, well, that's some things that people don't know, like the A-10 Warthog. The reason it keeps its bullets, its empty shells, is if it lets them go out, the plane will flip over. It throws the balance off. They have to keep that weight in there to keep the plane flying straight.
Right.
So you learn things like that. You know, you kind of like useless information, basically.
Yeah. Still, it's fun.
It's just one of the things. But when you get back to these aliens and these reptilians, it's just, and there've been lots of women. There've been men too, that talk about this. Now, I'm thinking the whole time, I mean, these are big reptilians. I mean, is everything going to be big? I mean, they're big. I mean, I'm like ladies. I mean, you know, Jesus. But then when the men talked about it, they said it was just the same, you know, way we would do it. She said, but there was this is probably not PG rated, what I'm about to say.
Quick, switch us over to private.
Just cringe for a second, but this is a direct description of several males have given me. So they said that the girl would sit down top and you do the normal thing. And then this tube would come out and go straight down the middle of you know what. And so I said, well, that has to be painful, you know, come on. But the guys didn't say that it was.
Interesting.
And you know, if it was in a different conversation, like I'll bring in one of the other shows we can talk about it. This one, I don't want to, we might offend some people, but people, it's everything I'm telling you is true. This is all reported. This comes directly from contactees. And remember, this ICAR never releases a piece of data unless at least 400 people or more have given data.
That's a decent control too. That's good.
You know, well, it keeps us out of trouble.
Yeah.
Well, mostly out of trouble.
Mostly, yeah.
I get in trouble just sitting still sometimes, but still. We have all this information, and you know, it's like talking with Congress, and you're giving them all this information, and they're freaking out because they have no idea that this is going on. They don't even want to believe this is going on. And I've told everybody about that admiral who said, "I really blanket hate you now because now I have to take this serious."
Right.
So as far as he was good, this guy, this was 3-star admiral. Might have been going on 4 when he was talking. And he just admitted that they knew nothing about extraterrestrials and did not want to know anything about extraterrestrials. Golly. He said, I have kids, I have grandkids, I have great-grandkids, and I even have a great-great-grandchild on the way. He said, I did not want to have to think about this. And then he stopped and he said, well, how hostile they are. I said, they're not really hostile yet. I said, they haven't been anyway. I said, if you judge them by their actions, they're no good SOBs because they like to snatch us, do things to us, and then drop us back. I said, but in most cases, they don't let you remember. I said, so really, is it that horrible if you can't remember what happened to you?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. I said some abductees, because their brains are curious, it starts manifesting in dreams. And as it manifests in dreams, your active memory starts to take over. You start remembering stuff. And then it starts showing up in your dreams. And then after a while, the whole scenario comes out and then you have to confront it or bury it. You don't really have any choices. Best thing is to confront it. Because remember this, ladies and gentlemen, all real all real contactees are empathic. A lot of them are telepathic, but they're all empathic.
Yeah.
So think of it this way. It's a gift. Learn how to use it.
I love that.
Yeah. So one of the things you'll find about abductees, is there, they most of the time they know who's on the telephone, they know who's knocking at the front door, they know it's just random stuff. They'll tell you stuff before the news tells you because they already know about it.
Yeah.
It's a gift. And I tell people all the time, learn how to use it because I did. I won't even lie about this. I have used empathic abilities to finish deals out and to get more money because I could sense what the person was feeling.
Yeah.
Just perfect example. I wrote a contract just to irritate one of my partners one time. So I made the contract triple what I would normally charge for the job. And he said, there's no way he's going to go for it. So I handed him the thing and I could feel him kind of, I said, if you want to do it like that, I said, well, I'll throw this, and this in for you and we can do it. He said, cool. My partner looked at me, he said, you just tripled out the price of this job. He said, I thought you were going to cost us a customer. I said, no. I said, because something about rich people that's funny. People always say, well, they're cheap. Well, some rich people are cheap, but most rich people, if you make a price too low, they will not use you.
It's true. That's true.
That was a hard lesson for me to learn when I was young. Because I was underpricing myself. And customers were like, I had one guy tell me one time, he said, Joe, there's no way you can do this job. I said, I just did a job like this. He said, there's no way. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll take it. And he said, if you do it on complete, I'll double the pay. Not only did we do it on time, we finished 4 days early.
Nice.
It's like, I don't understand. I said, I don't have to be as greedy. I don't have to overhead that everybody else does. I'm not keeping a warehouse full of people and a warehouse full of stuff. I get what we need. And if we needed things like JLGs, we just rent them. Matter of fact, we rented a JLD for a UFO investigation.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, they had this place where it was a levee and some trees, and people kept talking about these saucers that were coming out the water, and these big gold balls were dripping off of them. The only time I had personally seen that was in Gulf Breeze, Florida. That's when that 11-day thing happened. We were in Gulf Breeze. On the first night, we went out, the mayor and the police chief out with what was that one Riker was on? Jonathan Frankson. Unsolved Mysteries or something like that.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Anyway, they were there in town. They were staying at the same hotel we were. And I had found out they were doing a big investigation out on the fishing pier that night. So we all went out to go see what was going on. Well, there's 500, 600, 700 people out there, along with a lot of local people and news media and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there talking, and I look back behind me to the back bay, and I see this like underwater, this pulsing green light looking thing. I'm like, oh shit. So I tapped this guy. I said, you see that? Put your camera. He's videotaping. I'm flashing. By the way, nothing showed up.
Of course.
So we watched this thing as it cruised up to the fishing pier. We went underneath the fishing pier. Then it went underneath the main bridge. Then it went underneath the train trestle, and it went out about another 150 yards and stopped underwater. And then it just rose up out of the water. And this stuff was rolling off the top, and it looked like glowing gold balls, like teardrops, just tripping off the craft. And it just sat there. And we're looking at it, and there's cameras. I mean, Unsolved Mysteries with the big cameras rolling on people. You can hear all this chatter going on. And it just kind of tilted and moved off a little bit, and it was gone. So I was talking with Unsolved Mysteries people, and they're like, the guy's showing me the film. There's beautiful pictures, some little weird orbs, but there was nothing else. He said, I don't understand. I said, dude, you know how many people I had cameras that were going on? A lot of people didn't even think about taking a shot, but a lot of people did. But basically what they got was some like gold flakes and nothing else.
Okay.
So, I'm pretty sure that these ships give off something that keeps you from taking pictures, because the only real good, clear picture I ever got of a UFO, a friend sent me from somewhere down in Mexico, was over a desert. And it was out about a half a mile and maybe a mile. And the guy had a zoom, and he got a good shot of it. So you can see the saucer, and it's a big ass saucer. And you can see this, whatever energy field was underneath it was hitting the dirt, and the dirt was rising and lowering between it and the bottom of the saucer. So you could actually see all of that. And the cushions, it was a good picture, but as it got a little bit closer, it just blurred out. So there's some kind of, they give off some kind of feel that keeps you from getting a good shot.
Yeah, some sort of interference.
Yeah. So, and somebody asked me if they do it on purpose. No, I don't know. More than likely, it's something built into the ship, some type of energy field built in. But
could be.
That's why nobody ever gets a good shot, and that's why if you're ever standing on one and you're wearing a digital watch or something, or a regular watch, it'll start running backwards. It'll burn out a regular digital watch. It'll burn it out. it'll do all kind of weird number things. It'll flash, and then it'll never work again.
Gotcha. Joe, I hate to cut you off. We are 4 minutes over our time. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a blast having you on.
No, I always enjoy doing radio. You know that. It's always fun talking about UFO stuff too.
Yeah, it's
people
good
watch the Artemis mission. Give these astronauts some thumbs up or something.
Yeah, give them some love for sure. They're risking their butts out there. And I want to say a big thank you to all of those watching and listening. My name's Tim Sedano. This has been Paranormal Insight. That's Joe Montaldo, and that's all we have for you today. Have a great rest of the week. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.